I was to say anything in respect of what the Bloody Sunday families did. What they did is unparalleled, it's extraordinary. They took the British state on and they won. And they compelled the state to look itself in the face and admit criminality. And that is a task that has never been accomplished in the way it's been accomplished or in itself by anyone else. And it took them 40 years, 30 years to get an inquiry and another 12 years to see it through. And the journalist who's written the account of what it took is an extraordinary commentator, because an objective, detached report of a factual event is one thing, but this journalist was part of it too. If you don't mind me asking, Julieann, how old are you?
35.
35. So
I wasn't even there.
the whole of your life has been part of this, and your family have been fighting this fight. And to have written an account where it isn't only an extraordinary account Julieann has written, but it's her family's account too. And when there are many catastrophes in this world, there are many disasters, and very often the families of the victims of disasters come together. They come to know each other and they come to campaign together and they form a bond, but they don't know each other before usually. If there's a train crash or a ship sinking or something else, they don't know each other. But in Derry it was different. It wasn't just your son or your brother, it was your neighbour. It was your uncle and his best friend, both, and everybody knew everybody. And so it wasn't just the pain of the grief of your own, it was the pain of the grief times 14 of everybody else you knew. If in life your neighbour's son dies, that's pain. But if your neighbour's son dies and your son dies as well. And what then happened was not only death, murder, but the false narrative put out immediately that your son and your friend's son and everybody you knew were armed terrorists. And then in came the Lord Chief Justice of England to perpetuate the false narrative and to say that was the truth. And so the pain of death and the grief and the pain of the injustice, which is an extreme pain, a wrongful accusation, and the pain of the criminality of the state that went unpunished, and then the pain of a struggle for nearly 40 years to get the state to reverse itself, which is impossible. And all of that, and as everybody knows who's a campaigner here, trying to campaign, to have a meeting, 2 people come to the meeting to try to get public attention, another meeting, 3 people come, and then it goes away. It's yesterday's news. It's impossible. To have sustained this and to have won it is entirely incredible. They are incredible, the families who achieved this. And so when there is recognition, when there is an awarding of praise, and when there is a memory of all of this, it isn't for Savile or his inquiry, it's for how it was achieved. And that's why it is extraordinary and important to have this account. And in reading it, perhaps it was absolutely essential as well to have the photographs as as the text. Because just looking at the faces of the teenagers, of the men who died, just looking at it, just looking at them, there they are, lovely people, and they haven't been forgotten, they were remembered. And so in all of the conflict of the last 40 years, this is unbelievably important to have registered, and so we are not just grateful to all the families of whom Julieann is a central part, we're grateful to her for recording it so that we just don't forget.
Mm-hmm.